Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from Sweden, and welcome to the last live stream of 2023, together with no other than Tamara Schenk, the VP of Marketing at Kelly Services, on the topic, the missing link, marketing, talent attraction, and tech. And before we let you introduce yourself, Tamara, let us know, everyone, if you can hear us, where you're tuning in from, and what you're most excited to hear about in today's show. And as always, don't forget to comment summary to get your hands on all the key takeaways to make sure you don't leave this show without all the knowledge at hand. And hey, can we just take a moment and acknowledge, I'm just touching myself, but no, acknowledge the Christmas spirit with our funny shirts. Commitment, right, happening on the 20th of December. So yeah, we have an incredible 30 minutes ahead. Again, people, this is going to be a game changer. So make sure you're all settled for the coming show. And for anyone who's new, my name is Sarah. I'm a part of Adway, and we do automated social recruitment marketing, enabling a 24/7 storytelling experience to attract and convert your most desired candidates, fully automated while leaving the bias out. And Tamara, the name of the show, I can just say, if you guys don't follow and connect with Tamara on LinkedIn, I don't know what you've been doing, because her articles is making me feel like the worst CMO in the world. I get extreme FOMO. It's the most practical, tactical examples of marketing, tech, and talent attraction and recruitment you could ever read. So make sure, go in and follow Tamara. But you would just pretend, Tamara, that I know nothing about you, and let us know who you are, what you do for the industry, and what's keeping you here, what's keeping you excited about being in recruitment.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, Sarah. I'm very excited. I don't think that I've watched every single of your show, but I did watch quite a few. And when you made the introduction, I just realized it is the show of the year, and I kind of feel honored and a bit I kind of feeling anxious a little bit as well. Very high expectations, but anyway, very excited to be here. So I'm leading marketing for Kelly Services and International. That encompasses all sort of stuff, 360 marketing, but in a nutshell, it's B2B marketing. So it's lead generation and nurturing, as well as the B2C marketing. So the same candidate generation and management, the relationship management as well. So all of that, and I'm working very closely with the 16 countries, with the team, to ensuring that they have all the help that they need to drive the business. So yeah, that's my role.
Wow. Yeah. And we've, again, as we mentioned, we've been following you with great admiration. What you do for the space, for the staffing and hiring space is really, really incredible. And I believe today's topic is going to give us all these perspectives that we are missing. So the missing link between tech marketing and talent attraction. And in this session, we'll cover, as we sort of try to narrow it down, Tamara, the repairing like the fractured sourcing landscape through integration tech. We will touch upon authenticity and AI, making sure you can scale your strategy but still keep authentic in the whole process, and like personalization at heart, and all while keeping the candidate experience front and center. So what we sort of landed in is essentially, so many recruiters know like what's the missing link, but the problem is, what do we do when it's so fractured and then we still keep going with an ever declining budget? So we have to turn to automation for high tech and high touch. And what really sparked my interest, Tamara, let's dig into it, was one of your fantastic LinkedIn posts that you recently shared. In that post, you shared a model that sort of covers what we believe is the essence of this like fractured landscape. So you call it integrated talent acquisition and management. I believe this session should circle around this model that you built, and it dwells into the core elements, as to your point, as in sourcing skills, channel management, operational structure, database investment, and measurement and goals, like the right KPIs to support the right goals. So please give us the background, take us through the model. Why is this essential in today's hiring landscape?
Yes, sure. The thing is that post and that model was inspired by the conversation we had around the table when I was joining the SIA Executive Forum. I think it was like 3 weeks ago in London.
Mm.
And there were roundtable discussions, and I was joining one of the sessions around the sourcing strategies. So we had 12 or 14 people from different sectors, mostly the staffing, recruiters, operational people, and there were two people from marketing, so myself and another lady. And there were a lot of discussions. Okay, how do you build the sourcing strategies? What are the tactics? How do you ensure that things are making the impact and actually drives the applications? And as more I was listening to, and obviously I'm coming from the marketing background, right? So I'm
Right.
looking from the marketing lens. As
Yeah.
more I was listening, this kind of, it was forming in front of me, right? So I was
Yeah.
almost seeing this model. And by far no means this is the final version. I would love to hear, what their audience thinks about this. Maybe
Mm.
there's pieces that I'm missing, but I just wanted to very quickly walk kind of my thinking process here. So obviously my starting point is distribution channels, right? So
Right.
sorry, I'm actually contradicting myself. My starting point is the goal. What are you trying to achieve, right? So when I'm in marketing, I'm sitting with operational teams. I'm like, okay, what we're trying to do here? What is your challenge? What are you trying to drive? Where do we have the biggest problem? In which sector? Are we talking about applications? Are we seeing maybe the quality of applications is not very high? We
Mm.
can't convert. We can't, the time to hire or time to fill is extremely long. So what it is that we're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So this is very often kind of, you start with the end mind and goal and you're trying to work through that. But then
Yeah.
the next part is obviously is that kind of distribution. So, you start building, what are the channels? What type of audience we're trying to reach, therefore what channels would probably work. And then I started just to list, you have the job boards, you have
Mm.
programmatic, you have obviously the social media, business social media, the normal social media, you have referral platforms, you have the career side, you have offline events that I think actually will be on the rise more and more.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I'm seeing, and things like that. A few years ago, we started to build kind of that, sourcing strategies to support the business. What was missing 3 years ago, what was missing was data. We could
Right.
not assess, we could not see what's really happening. So you could see the results of one channel, or
Yeah.
one type of activity, but you couldn't bring this all together. And
Right.
therefore, when the marketing would have a conversation with the TA or the operational managers,
Mm.
it's almost like I would come and say, I think this is what we need to do based on my experience. But then the operations would say, well, we think differently, right? So I just realized it's not going to work. So therefore, we invested into the quite a kind of transformation, if I
Mm.
can use this word,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of data. And we're building this. So now we can see end to end the full funnel from where it's coming down to their placement. And
Right.
now you can have these conversations like where
Mm.
the candidates coming from, what's the quality of these applicants, how long
Yes.
they stay in this different career site or page, or do we see the conversion rate of this job board is, high or low, what are the costs, etc., etc. So all
Mm.
of these elements started to kind of appear
Yep.
more clearly. And then the second part was that all of this needs to come together in one source of truth, right? So you need to unify the candidate data. You need to ensure that this
Yeah.
is all these things connects together.
Mm.
So, but then I can talk about the distribution channels and performance marketing for hours, but let me just jump to another part. So what I started to see is that I started to see the metrics, right? How many applications, qualified, unqualified, how many passed through the first interview, second interview, how many were filled. I've seen also how much time it takes for us to respond to a candidate. And I realized, in
Mm.
some of the areas, in some of the regions, we're actually not responding to the candidate fast enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, today, a candidate is a consumer, right? So it's a absolutely 100% consumer
Hugely.
behavior. If you don't get things immediately, they
Mm.
switch on something else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's the point of investing all of those money and energy and efforts
Mm.
if we're losing? And we're losing not because of a tag, but we're losing because of a behavior. So therefore, this second part to me is essential, is the skills. professional skills that the recruiters and sources have. So, sourcing skills, they need to be profound sourcing ninjas, right?
Yeah.
So they need
Yeah.
to build a relationship, they need to respond, they need to ensure that they're having and building those relationships. And when I was thinking about the key skills, again, I'm sure there are hundreds of them there, but I was thinking this year or next year,
Mhm.
digital literacy and really use of AI.
Yeah.
Number one, like how
Yeah.
to make your life easier as a recruiter.
Yeah.
Second, it's really communication and interpersonal skills. Sorry. You need to be more convincing. There are so many different opportunities that the candidate has. So you need to
True.
find the ways to kind of bring them together. And absolutely empathy. Like we're
Mm.
becoming so, technological and data
Mm.
driven and mechanical in so many ways. I think this human touch comes first, and this is what the people will start appreciating. And this is kind of this connection to authenticity and AI, right?
Yeah.
So how ensure that you really tell the story, you really care, and you think about the candidate first. Because just okay, from one as a person, that's just very important. But on the business side, it's just efficient. If
Yeah.
you have the candidate-centric mindset,
Yeah.
you will be spending less money long term in driving the candidate acquisition. So that's just profitable to think this way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the last two pieces, obviously, operating model, because you need to think about what type of company, right? So we are
Mm.
very large recruitment organization. So you have thousands of different recruiters. So this is one model. You
Yeah.
might be an RPO company. You might be a direct employer. You can
Mm.
be a small company. You can be whatever. So there are
Mm.
different ways to organize, but you need to think about, is it onshore, nearshore, offshore, the way how you structure.
Yeah.
Is it 360 type of recruiters or those who are specializing in something? Are you centralizing the function, decentralizing the function? Do you have in-house or are you outsourcing some of it? So it all plays a very big
Factors.
role
Yeah.
because you're building that the model that will work for you and will
Mm.
drive the best kind of impact on the business. And the
Yeah.
last but not least, and to me is very close to my heart, is the whole nurturing, building the relationship, keeping in touch,
Yes.
continuous
Talent pipelining.
communication. Absolutely. I think
Mm.
we've talked about this a lot. I haven't seen this done. Maybe 1 to 2, 3% of companies really do it really, really well.
Yeah.
But I think it will be getting harder to get candidates. It will be more expensive to get candidates.
Interesting.
So having the opportunity to kind of continue and nurture those relationships, I think that
Mm.
will be vital. So that
Mm.
was the model that appeared just in my head, and I thought I could not fall asleep that night. I said I
Yeah.
have to write a post, and I'm very curious what the people are thinking about this. And then yeah, so that's the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And let's bring up all the questions you might have. Again, this model is what really sparked my interest, and naturally, I want to discuss all parts of it, Tamara. But everyone on this live as well, bring in your thoughts, your perspectives, and your feedback to the model. So what first like stuck to me, Tamara, is like with this discussion, it's so interesting because it highlights the complexity of candidate sourcing and the need for a holistic approach. And I think your model acknowledges that technology plays a significant role, but also stresses the importance of the human connections, marketing acumen, and communication skills, and like the various channels for talent attraction. And the main message for me and learning from the discussion is the importance of having a well-rounded candidate sourcing strategy framework. Like you emphasize, it's no one size fits all as like the formula for success. It's still acknowledging like the different all these factors you have to factor in, as if you said like your enormous staffing and recruitment company, how does that play into our then OKRs, which drips into the relevant KPIs for our business. So I believe this discussion stresses the complexity in sourcing and in talent attraction, and I am with you on the fact that it'll be harder. And as we always say, you're not in a war for talent, you're in a war for attention. And there's not a lot of teams out there who has a plan how to reach through the noise and create relationships around your new lifestyle that you're selling to someone who already are very happily employed. So that
Absolutely,
to me,
absolutely.
yeah, it strikes the essence.
You know what I was just thinking as you were also talking about, the complexity, it's actually all very complex, because if you think about, we talked about the data, the importance of having the data. We talked about technology and what type of technology you use. So,
Mm.
as I said, this is the two grounded blocks that you need to have in place. You need to understand what's happening with the business and the processes, then applications, and the candidates, and
Mm.
you need to have one place where you manage all of those candidates and the relationship and the information,
Yes.
because I've seen
Yes.
those kind of fragmented processes, right? So
Mm.
actually, I was listening to the previous live show you had, I think, with Wolfgang, and he
Yeah.
was bringing some very interesting data. And you
Benchmark
asked the
data. Yeah.
question, can their technology all be integrated or not? And he was giving a very interesting observation, like RPS licenses, right? It's used by almost all recruiters. You can't really integrate this into the system. What I've seen, though, it's true, you can't integrate it, but you need to find the way how to build the flow of candidates between between those, because
Exactly.
a recruiter looks into either filling the role of finding, this person for this position. He
Mm.
or she are, they are focused on a short-term goal in terms of delivering to the results.
Yeah.
From the central, like for example, marketing perspective, you think
Yeah.
about keeping the relationship. I'm not saying that, the operational side would not keep the relationship, but sometimes they just don't have time, right? So they
No.
don't have
No.
time.
Yeah.
They keep rushing. They need to do things very
Transactional.
fast.
Yes.
Exactly. Even, well, one of the best recruiters I've seen, they have the names of all the candidates in their head, like hundreds of them,
Yeah.
and they will respond on. They will call. They keep calling them,
Mm.
but can you really scale it, right? So I'm always
Right.
thinking, can you scale things, right?
Mm.
So if you have this, okay, they're using some of the sources and channels to find
Yes.
those candidates. Amazing, great, just do that. But you need to think about the model, how to bring this and then keep the relationship with that. Like, for example, we talk
Exactly.
about, you need to fill the role, you reached out, you found 10 amazing candidates, you've probably shortlisted five of them, and you
Yeah.
place more candidates. What happens with another four? Very often, and I'm generalizing right now across the industry, but very often, in a good case, there will be, maybe presented another one or two opportunity, but
Mm.
that's it. So the idea
Mm.
is, like, I do think, and I believe that you need to think about how keep in touch, how to build, and the automation is number one here,
Yeah.
right? So you
Yeah.
bring them together in one place, you know what's
Yeah.
happening, and you automate the messages, you send it out, and you
Yeah.
kind of scan. And then when there is another opportunity, instead of spending the time and money trying to find another candidates,
Look
you
at
kind
you.
of tap into the pool and
Yeah.
match to the opportunities that you have. So that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I think there is a lot of kind of um, you know
There's
uh,
easy wins. There's
yeah,
definitely easy wins
yeah,
here. And to your
absolutely.
point, Tamara, that's why like we built a talent attraction system, right? And what one of the functions, one of the products is what we call Explore. So when you work with automated social marketing, you build talent pools on social media, making sure you are like centralizing the messages that are resonating with these target groups over time. Could be up to 6 months, like even more. And the thing is, once the relationship is warm, you have to always make sure to know what triggers their interest. So you should have a
Yeah,
system that knows what categories are they looking for, what like type of words are they typing into your career page, if they're looking to your ads, how are they behaving, where are they dropping off, what are they looking for, so you can make sure they explore other opportunities with your company fully automated, just as to your first point, that like personalized shopping experience. So I don't know if
absolutely.
you've ever visited Zalando, like the suggestions for you, the targeted, really, really designed shopping experience for you. If that is not spot on, I will most not likely come back to the app or even jump on another ad with Zalando. If that is not
Yeah,
spot on, they've not only lost a deal, they've also sort of rejected my interest for further shopping experiences. So
absolutely.
a lot of
Absolutely.
stuff here is on stake. And what I
You-
think, if we move to channel management, because I think
Yeah.
this was like particularly interesting, where you sort of, well, we brought up the concept of like easy apply. This means
Mm.
that once then the nurtured interest is there, if you ask a candidate to move somewhere else, you have a high risk even doing that ask. I mean, asking someone to leave the job ad or to leave the job board or to leave wherever they might apply for a job, that's just another way of losing them. Same as coming back to the Zalando app. If you ask someone to go to their desktop, or if you ask someone to create an account, I'm done. I'm moving. I'm leaving. So channel management, where it's like social media platform, it's a game changer because it creates convenience for the candidates and it meets them where they are. So I love that
Yeah,
part.
I love this reflection. I was thinking about two things here. So one is that actually the candidate behavior. So we
Mm.
talk about in general passive candidates, active candidates. I'm not a big fan of it, but I didn't find yet another way to kind of
No.
describe. I will
Yeah.
say the
Codable,
question is
addressable
the
markets
intent.
or
Yes.
yeah.
So what is the intent? And very often when you talk about it from the marketing perspective, it's intent. Is it ready to convert or not ready to convert? If it's ready
Exactly.
to convert, you need to look into the conversion ads and all
Yes.
sort of other things. If it's not yet, then you considering the consideration and awareness. So
Yeah.
not arguing the easy apply needs to be there. I actually remember a few years ago when we had this discussion,
Mm.
would we integrate? So we had our career side, and obviously my goal was to drive all the traffic to the career side because the people are staying there, applying, staying in our database, etc. And then obviously you have all the external channels where people
Mhm.
can apply and stay there, and then you use some parsing or some other technologies to drive those candidates into your database. Not
Yeah.
going to the career side. And there
Yeah.
was a question back and forth, like
Mm.
what's more efficient? Absolutely, when the people are staying in the place where just they saw the ad and they convert immediately.
Yes.
From the
Yes.
brand perspective, you want them to kind of be stay longer with the brand. You
Yeah.
want them to come to
Consume.
the site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brand. Yeah.
But I think it's the question of having actually both somehow. So you
Mm.
absolutely need to make a very easy experience for
Yes.
those who
Yes.
intend to buy, they need a job, they want to do it right away,
They
very
show an
fast,
interest.
because they have another six of, I don't know, 10 different places
Opportunity.
to go
Yeah.
to find
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, but then others who are like, well, I don't mind. It's interesting. And then you start building this more kind of awareness campaigns and
Mm.
things around
Mm.
and
Mm.
retargeting them and
Yes.
things like that. So I think
And
this is needs to be considered when you're thinking about the behavior of
absolutely,
candidates.
absolutely. And there's been some questions on this. We have one from Marvin Smith. He says, I'm curious, how do you keep an applicant in orbit around your brand? And I think you're sort of spot on to something here, Tamara, because if you combine again or make comparison with e-commerce, e-commerce is now taking their site to the candidate, meaning the shopping site is now in the actual ad. I don't know if you've seen, but every time you click on an ad, you stay in the ad. Same goes now for the career site. We want to bring the career site to the candidate. So it should be still the brand consuming the experience, getting all the benefits, the authentic storytelling experience from your employees, all this, but still in the platform of their choice. So we don't make a
That's
big
very
ask
smart.
of having drop-off rates, which we cannot afford. So still like making sure it's brand central around the candidate experience. So
That's
yes.
you know what that's very very smart, and I think our industry is long behind, and I think we can learn a lot from the e-commerce. So everything that you're just saying,
Mm.
this is ideally this should be happening already now, but
Yeah.
again, I don't think this is happening, and it requires additional technology and investment in platforms to bring or work with companies like yours.
Mm.
Um, I also wanted just going back to the
Integrational
question.
tech. It demands integrational tech.
Yes,
That's my
yes,
main, to
yes,
not lose data.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But one, going back also on the question, like how do you keep, candidates around?
Yeah. Orbit your brand. Yeah.
Orbiting the thing is that I don't believe in their candidate loyalty. I don't think,
Ooh. Hmm.
I don't think I would, I want
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
candidates I would love the candidates to, like, when they start looking for a job, think, "Oh, where,
Mm.
how, I should go to Cali." I'm like, yes, I would love that.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to happen, because I think,
Mm.
first of all, just because the span of our attention, regardless of what we're talking about, is very,
Yeah.
very fast. Like, you're switching from one to another. There,
Yes.
if there are certain behavioral things, again, from the when you're looking for a job, what are the typical things that you would do? Kind
Exactly.
of talk to the friends,
Yeah.
network, LinkedIn, some job boards, keywords, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think from the brand perspective, it's all about creating that immediate first experience that you have with a candidate. Make it
Mm.
easy and make it um, memorable
Yeah.
in a way that sparks a positive emotion. You need to think
Yeah.
about what that can be. It can be a humor, it can be that human touch, it
Yeah.
can be just kind of paying attention, and then
Yeah.
trying to, whenever they interact with you, keep having that positive experience over and over again. I
Yeah.
don't think, like, for example, if the candidate found a job, let's imagine we talk about the recruitment companies, the staffing companies. I do believe if they found the job in 2 to 3 years, they might come back, and you need to make sure that you keep continuing delivering that amazing experience.
Yeah.
But if they found something different and someone else reached out to them, they
Mm.
won't say, "Oh, I'm not going to work with you because I had a very good relationship with this company."
True.
Therefore, I'm
True.
saying the loyalty, it's not about, it's just reality from my
Yeah, yeah,
perspective.
yeah. And I think like also the landscape now is created this way. So for instance, social media platforms are designed to keep users engaged on their site. So recognizing this in your strategy, a more effective strategy would be to bring then, as we said, the career page experience to the candidates on this platform in that user way, in that demanded experience. So by integrating that messaging and opportunities within the ecosystem that already are there in habit, we align much more closely with their user behaviors and preferences.
Mm.
And this approach is not just about convenience, it's about adapting to the digital landscape and like in its inherent nature. So as you said, I don't perhaps think it's even like this early on, it's not even a discussion about loyalty. It's as I would compare again e-commerce tactic experience, but if I would compare like a discount, who like if I go to Adidas or Nike, it's the same running shoes, right? I'm
Mm.
now an open, like I'm open to do a purchase. Where do I get the best shopping experience, the best, most convenient payment method that fits my needs, and perhaps the best discount? I'm
And
not even gonna think about loyalty to Adidas or Nike.
I think, yes, I would agree. I think there is, first is experience. The second is your emotional connection to the brand. And I
Yes.
wanted to connect this to their, I just realized that the time is passing so fast, and we don't have much time. But one of the things that we haven't touched yet is authenticity and the use of AI.
Yes.
Um, I think it's getting easier to create content. It's easier to create messaging because the
Mm,
use of AI is so, it's so easy to do things right now.
yeah.
What is going to be, what's happening, what is going to happen, you see all the content and the basically the noise, the noise that all the candidates or
Yeah.
consumers have is increasing.
Yeah.
So very often is very repetitive, a
Mm,
very AI created type of content that I'm start seeing. So
mm,
that's where the authenticity comes in. And when we
yeah.
talk about the authenticity, is all about, can I actually trust? Can I believe? Does it create a real emotion in me? So
Yeah.
when you talk about, this example of Nike or Adidas or any other, yes, convenience was the shopping. Can I do it fast? Do I like it, etc. But
Can I trust it?
can
Mm.
I what kind of emotional
I
reaction
think
do
it's
I
called,
have
yeah,
to that brand?
psychological safety. I think that is also the way online banks played the behavioral change in their users, right? So instead, like before we went to physical banks, we had our bank account manager, everything was like physical, we knew the deal, right? Shifting that behavior had to build on psychological safety in terms of like the tech experience, the user experience. So I think that is a super well stated saying here, Tamara, where authenticity and AI needs to make sure the personalization and the trust is everything it's built on. Because yes, you can generate tons of AI content. You can generate, spray and pray campaigns. You can say, this is our AI colleague, whatever. But I think people would start getting more skeptical in what they consume.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
and that's
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the actually traps, if you will, from one side, and tricky questions to solve. So we do need AI because you see how you can scale and grow and do things. Like in marketing, I'm working like, I can't imagine what I don't remember actually how we were doing marketing before ChatGPT and all the AI, tools that appeared. Like
Mid-Journey, everything.
I spent so many hours a week creating certain things. Now it's just faster. But the thing is that it helps you absolutely, but you still need to bring this creativity, idea, fun, and then that sits in the center of it. And then AI helps you to build things around in so many ways. The content creation, building if we talk about the recruiters, building the bowling strings. If we talk about interviewing, scheduling, onboarding pieces, there's so many different parts. And automation, like workflows build, etc. But I think that element that human brings, and this is what you need to think about when you're building the brand as a person as well as the company, right? So why people or audience or your target audience will believe to you. Are you touching that chord, that emotional chord? Do you have that reaction? I think this is critical.
It's a really good point. Yeah. And we could delve into the fact where like people have to be like where you should have the human elements in the funnel if we were to think about the talent attraction funnel as a marketing funnel, and where you have to like enhance automation and AI. And I believe the sooner you take hands off into the talent attraction process, the more diversity and the more conscious inclusively you will work automatically, making sure the later where you have the relevant candidates already warmed up, interested for the feedback, the call, the outreach, there's where the human elements really play in a vital role, because also that's where your people, your experts, the ones to your point with the sourcing skills, the sales enablement, the BDR tactics now coming into like selling them the role or the lifestyle, that's will somewhat be what like makes you stand out, like compared to other recruiters or other opportunities. Like your people that comes later into the process, where the online candidate shopping experience have already been built in for trust, and then you see the people, then you meet the people, then you meet the team. So we could talk about this for hours, definitely. But if we were to sort of sum up and summarize more around the model, what would be, I'm going to bring it up again because I love it so much. What would be sort of looking into the framework? You mentioned that if you start with the big goals as like your individual goals, as your specific TA team has, that then supports obviously the KPIs that you think are much relevant. And this time you stated time to fill, cost per hire, and applicant diversity as three sort of main. I think everyone can sort of state that these are important. But is there like any main takeaways from the model where you would say this is the most important things you need to take with you?
Well, I would say the purpose of the model was really to start thinking how you can bring all these things together, right? So because during that conversation that I had, I saw that fragmented approach, if you will, right? Because fragmented, not just because of fragmented technology or processes, but also people sitting in the different function areas and seeing things from their perspective and are driven by their agenda. So what I was thinking that if you think about how to build an effective and efficient process that helps you to bring the best talent on the time and on the volume that you need for your company, you need to think about what are the key challenges and what are we trying to achieve here. Those time to fill or cost per hire, etc. Those are just some of the examples you might have, right? So, but I would argue probably all the organizations want to decrease the time to fill, want to decrease cost per hire and they want to increase the application diversity. But there
Absolutely.
could be some other KPIs. But I think
Yeah.
it's, to me, the main it's more about the mindset to going away from the siloed approach and having
Mm,
everything together, because you might have amazing distribution strategy, but
yeah.
if the skills of recruiters are not there, it's
Mm,
not going to work. You might
mm,
have both of this in place, but if your operating model doesn't give recruiters and the consultants the time to do that human interaction, and they're always stressed and trying to achieve their goals, and they keep running like a hamster in the wheel, it won't help as well. And the
no.
last piece, the whole, and we haven't even talked about this, and I love this topic, so we'll have the time next year. I'm happy to come back and talk about this. It's nurturing and keeping
Right.
those relationships, because I think it's untapped kind of mind goal, to be
Mm,
honest.
mm.
Otherwise, it's not a funnel as just a tube, right? So people kind of
Exactly.
flowing
It's a
through,
silo. Yeah.
and that's it. So I think
Yeah.
if there's one thing, is just to look into your organization, your business, and see how you can connect all of this together,
Mm.
ensuring that you have the data, because without data, it's just guesswork,
Guesswork.
to be honest,
Yeah.
and it's very expensive. And
Yeah.
ensuring that your technologies, one, two, three pieces that you use are
Mm,
all integrated. So
mm.
yeah, but I don't think it's finished yet. I think there are still some discussions around the
Absolutely.
board
And that's
on
why I
what
think,
we
like,
need
again,
to.
we invite the whole community into this discussion. Like, let's keep driving these food for thoughts, like all the perspectives that you might sit on, everyone watching, in the comment section. And also make sure to comment summary to get your hands on sort of the summary and our key takeaways from the session. But I would like just to sort of round up the topic, Tamara. What's your like main thought around nurturing? Like, give us a couple of minutes, like the nurturing piece, why it's so untapped, and where the easy wins are today in terms of making sure you're nurturing your talent pipeline.
I think that I don't think it's strategy. I think it's like almost common sense. I think you need to ensure that you have all the information sitting, in one place where you can
Mhm.
see all the interactions happening with the candidates. You need to keep the relationship, like lead generation, or sorry, lead nurturing part
Mm.
has, do we know in which stage sales cycle this person is? So do you know in which kind of recruitment cycle this person is? Do you provide personalized information on time that the person would probably need, because
Mm.
that will increase the probability of them to convert, or keep your brand, you, on top of their mind.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's untapped, because I haven't seen a consistent scaled models across the whole organization that works in the long term. So it's
Mm.
not one time build kind of campaign, it's evergreen, something that keep working. Because when it's, and we start building something like that, and I've seen the pilots, and you see that the conversion rates are extremely high when you
Mm.
have this in place. So
Mm.
that's kind of 2 cents, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to have, as I said, database like
Yeah.
ATS or candidate management system. You need to have marketing automation platform in place,
Mm.
and you need to have a data kind of
Mm.
that kind of reads all of that, and you need to have smart and skilled people who understand the behavior and understand the needs and intent, who
Yeah.
can build the workflows. And I think, well, it's not, I think, I see that it's working.
Yeah, yeah. And my 2 cents on your cent would be, obviously we see this with our system, which is like a nurturing lead gen for talent attraction, that there's a awakening like scarcity where recruiter says, yeah, but we don't want volumes of applications. So here's my 2 cents. You cannot build a talent attraction strategy to weed out talent. What you do have to do is you have to open the funnel big, making sure your super designed personalized system assesses and screens based on the right criteria, so that what you end up with is a relevant talent pool. But you
Mhm.
don't go to market by closing the door. So I would
No.
not be scared of like auto application systems that's sort of popping up. I would look into my design process and making sure assessment and screening is used where it's supposed to, making sure relevance and potential comes through. Otherwise, what happens is you'll end up with zero relevant candidates, and absolutely not the hardest to find, not the like the unicorns of your industry. Those will definitely not be weeded out in a hard submit process. So that's my 2 cents of the nurture scent. But let's just say, Tamara, we have to do this again. We have to keep
Absolutely.
driving
I
the
love it.
discussion. I'd love for you to come to the Adway HQ, the studio, have you in here and make a proper interview.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yes, but let's have the conversation going in the comment section and learn and evolve together as we always do. And thank you for everyone tuning in. Thank you for this year. And let's make 2024 the most optional for talent attraction.
Yeah. Happy holidays. And thank you once again, Sarah, for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
Happy holidays. It's been a blast. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.